After serving as a lawyer for the league, Paul Tagliabue was named commissioner of the NFL in 1989. In addition to leading the league to unprecedented levels of growth, Tagliabue took some key social stances for the league, including moving the Super Bowl away from Arizona after the state refused to recognize Martin Luther King Day, and fighting to keep the Saints in New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina. He served as the NFL's head man until 2006. Let's talk about some kind of seminal moments in a lot of people's perspective when you were commissioner and your reflection back on them. The first game that you either attended or pointed out after September 11 in Kansas City. What made that game so special?
Well, it was the Giants playing against the Chiefs, and so you had a New York team in the heartland of America. And I was there with Gene Upshaw. The two conference presidents were there, Wellington Mara and Lamar Hunt, who obviously was the owner of the Chiefs. But when the Giants took the field, there was a roar of applause for the Giants. And that doesn't happen too often in Arrowhead Stadium. No. They're pretty rabid and they're pretty one-sided. They're great fans. But it was a sign of how America was at that time. Unfortunately, that's not where we are today.
The NFL as a social change agent, there have been a lot of things that have happened recently, but broadly defining your role as you saw it to kind of steer the NFL to a path to maximize social change or to help.
Well, I always had the idea that the NFL was about 3 C's: competition, collaboration among the teams through the league, and community. So it was always a piece of my thinking, and that comes from Pete Rozelle. He thought the same way, and he was the one who started the United Way advertising campaign to take the helmets off the players, and he encouraged all the teams to be an integral part of the community, just as college football was.
How important was that United Way NFL relationship? It still goes on, but it was watershed in a way.
It was certainly watershed. You know, Commissioner Rozelle, as I said, started it. When I took over in '89, the advertising commitment to the United Way was very substantial. But more importantly, we wanted the teams to be involved with the local United Ways. So I went on the board of the National United Way right after I became commissioner in order to encourage each of the individual teams to be more deeply ingrained in their own communities.
It's 1993, and you chose to take a stand to defer, actually at that point move, the Super Bowl from Phoenix because of the Arizona stance not ratifying the Martin Luther King holiday. Obviously, the goal of using the leverage and the business awareness the NFL brought to the table to make some meaningful social change there. Was it a difficult decision, and did it work out the way you wanted it to work out?
Well, it was difficult to take that decision, but before I was heavily involved, the Super Bowl host committee and the league's Super Bowl committee had conversations about what would happen if the King holiday was not in place. So it was not a surprise. It was something that was part of the conversations going forward. Maybe people didn't think that the league would make good on what it had said, which is that it would not play the game unless the King holiday was passed. And then when it was passed, when we did adopt it, it was deferred, as you said. It was not canceled, it was not terminated. So we tried to have a balance between taking a position that was definitely an important position to take, but not being punitive.
Let's talk about Katrina and the work that you did, and I saw it firsthand with the governor and mayor of New Orleans to basically keep the franchise afloat, literally and figuratively, and not move it or allow it to move to San Antonio. And that has to be one of the greatest social change moments as far as how far a league can go to protect a community's trust and interest in a franchise.
Well, you know, New Orleans was an outgrowth of the merger of the American Football League and the NFL. New Orleans had brought a lot to the NFL over the years, but I felt that whether it was New Orleans or Houston or any other city that could be the subject of a tragedy, that we owed it to the community to walk the last mile. We expect communities to walk the last mile in support of our teams, and we had to do it for them. And that, my perspective was what my parents used to tell me: a friend in need is a friend indeed, so be a friend to people in need.
There's been so much discussion and turbulence. The NFL has done a lot, in a lot of people's estimation: committees, dollars, research, player activism. Give me your 30,000-foot report card of how the league has done in these issues since you've left your tenure at the NFL.
I think the league has done very well in a difficult environment, and what I mean about a difficult environment was the onset of a hyper-connected society. with people able to communicate in ways that they never communicated before, and videos being taken of everything that goes on. So the scrutiny that you're subjected to by the technology is extraordinary. In that context, I think what the league has done to take the initiatives that you alluded to has been very, very positive and for the most part, very well thought out.
The key to me is to keep those who have the long-term interest in the NFL at heart engaged and interested, meaning you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.